y'all, welcome to my channel. So I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking all about my experience with failed friendship, what that looked like for me, how God healed me from that, how I learned to forgive people. We're just going to be diving all into the good stuff today. So I have had a lot of failed friendship experience, y'all. Like, honestly, something I'm not proud of at all, but I am grateful that God really does use everything in our lives and, turns it around, works it out for our good, because your girl was a hot mess. It's literally so many things that I'm just like, okay, I can literally start from so many places. But I will start back with, we'll go from like my preteen to teenage years. So at that time, I knew God, but I wasn't really like asking God what his will was for my life. I didn't even really know what that looked like or how to do that with God. So when it came to friendship, I was coming into those friendships already starting off at a deficit. I, at that time, had low self-esteem. I also was a people pleaser, and there were just so many friendships that I got into because low self-esteem and people pleasing are just two deadly combinations for you to attract certain people. So I was so used to, at that time, not even really, like I said, asking God, who do you want to be my friend? It was just kind of like out of the options of people around me, I was just picking and choosing based off of superficial things like, ooh, her hair is laid. Because at that time, y'all, all of us had relaxers. So I was like, ooh, her hair is laid, or her outfit looks super nice, or she seems nice. Granted, the most superficial things that you can judge people based off of, I was like, oh, that would make them a candidate for a good friend. But like I said, I myself had low self-esteem. So in a way, I was looking for things that I felt like I wasn't in other people. Didn't know that at the time. So in that, I'm sitting up here not knowing my worth, not knowing my value, and kind of allowing people to determine that for me. So if my friend was mad at me, I would pretty much do anything I could to reconcile the situation, even if I wasn't necessarily wrong. Problem. I think that was another huge thing about me. I did so much to try to appease other people because I was a people pleaser that I was like not advocating for myself, not saying what I thought. If me being quiet meant that I could keep friends, I would just keep my opinion to myself. The first thing I feel like God has taught me throughout these failed friendship experiences is not inviting God into your friendships makes for a disastrous situation. And I was kind of explaining a little bit earlier how there were things about myself that were just huge red flags. Like, those are things you need to work on before you even get around other people. Because if you don't, you'll be in a lot of these situations like I was, and please don't be like me. Please. And I want to say too, this is not in any way, shape, or form an advice video. This is a don't be like me video. So if you could take anything from this and don't be like me, don't be like me. God is our first friend. And our relationship with him should be, like, to some degree, a reflection of the people that we have or the friendships that we have around us. Not only that, if you're not going to God about the friendships that you're in, you're not really understanding what friendship truly is, because God is the one who gives you like the definition of friendship. He gives you what the picture of friendship should look like. And also, if you're not inquiring of him who you should be friends with, you're making the decision on your own. And when you make the decision on your own, you reap the consequences of making decisions on your own, because who God has for you as a friend could be totally different than the person that you have. And we have to remember too, I think this goes back to when Samuel was going to anoint the new king, but God is telling Samuel to stop mourning Saul and to go anoint the next king. So he goes to David's father's house, Jesse, and Jesse has a whole bunch of sons. And Samuel is looking at the outer appearance, and God keeps telling him, like, with each son that Samuel thinks is the one who he's supposed to anoint, I've rejected him. You look at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. And David was the least likely out of the brothers, appearance-wise, that God would have seemingly chose, but that was the one that God was like, no, I'm going to take him and use him, because David's heart was inclined to God. So when we go into these friendships and we're not asking God, like, God, who do you want to be my friend? And we're choosing off of superficial things, it's going to be wrong 9 times out of 10. And I can tell y'all that from experience. I literally did not have like godly standards to compare my friends to. All I was looking at was like physical things. Those things really don't matter. And if I'm being honest, I can tell why a lot of those friendships did not last, because it wasn't built on Jesus. Like, things that are not built on Jesus are just not gonna last, period. But that is one huge thing I learned looking back over, just a plethora of those friendships I was talking about. None of them were rooted in Christ, and that's literally why they failed. They failed because I was looking with my human eyes and I was not praying, I was not asking, I was not seeking God. And I think sometimes we make those things try to seem like a big production. Literally, the Bible says we got to seek God's will in everything that we do. When I was not seeking God's will, essentially, like I said, I was pretty much not asking God who to befriend. I was just saying, from this group of people, I'm going to choose this person, and God, maybe like help me out, or, just kind of do your thing, but I'm going to make my choice. Like literally, when you tell God how it's going to go, bad every single time. The second thing I feel like God showed me, and this one messed me up, y'all. Like God literally, I feel like, just dropped a bomb on me. It was so simple, but yet so profound, because I had never thought of failed friendships in this way. But point two, they weren't equipped to be your friend. When I feel like God was walking me through that, they weren't equipped, I was like, hold up. You're not just gonna drop this on me and not think that I'm gonna sit and marinate and stew in this for a long time. It was just so good to me. If God did not equip those people to be your friends, it's never gonna work, because it's not even that they're bad people, they just simply aren't equipped. And I feel like when God gave me that revelation, it literally freed me, because for so many years I was so mad at these people, holding so much unforgiveness and just like, well, how could you do me like that? But it's like they were not equipped. The tools that I needed, they did not possess. And I'm terrible at analogies, but when I feel like God was showing me like some people just weren't equipped to be your friend, I was thinking of like a project. So say you have a project to complete, and the project is requiring you to have a screwdriver to be able to put everything together. So your project is not going to be complete until you get that screwdriver. But you're looking at your friend, and your friend is like, well, all I have is a monkey wrench. I was sitting up there for so many years being mad that my friend had a monkey wrench when I needed a screwdriver, when I could have just went and gone and found somebody that had a screwdriver, or allow God to bring me somebody that had a screwdriver. Because me sitting up there being mad that they don't have a screwdriver is not helping me get the project complete. It's not helping me walk into purpose. It's not helping me do anything but just sit there and fester in my feelings and my emotions and my wounds and my hurt and my unforgiveness and my bitterness and all of those things. So I'm sitting up there mad at this person when they just don't have a screwdriver. That does not make them a bad person, but that means that in whatever way that I need to get something finished, they aren't gonna be the ones that can help push me forward. They aren't gonna be the ones that help me put the finishing touches on the project to get it completed. It's like you don't have to hold on to bitterness, to hurt, to anger, to unforgiveness, simply because that person wasn't what you needed, because God didn't put the things inside of them that you needed for a specific reason, because he has other people that he's put those things inside of that are going to be for you. And you don't have to sit up here and be, just like angry and bitter for years. Like, please don't be like me. I wasted so much time worried about what that person did to me and how I felt wrong. It was doing nothing but hurting me. Those people are literally moved on, not thinking about what they did to me. And I'm just like rehearsing it over and over and over and over again in my mind, and just sitting in anger. And how can God use me when I'm not even being fully surrendered to him and walking in love and forgiveness? You don't have to hate people. You don't even have to be upset at them for forever. Just simply know that they were not equipped for you. And the reason why you were allowed to see all of those things is because they were not equipped. The sooner you learned it, the better it was for you. Every failed friendship I've been in, I've looked back and me and those people were going in two totally different directions. And that's not to say that I'm perfect, because I fall short every single day, and God just extends his grace and his mercy that I don't deserve. And he extends his grace and mercy to those people too. But the thing is, why am I sitting up here also mad when those people are just not even going in the same direction that God is calling me to? I'm trying to walk this straight and narrow path. Do I always get it right? No. But I shouldn't even be mad that God is removing these people or allowing me to see who they are, because that's not even aligned with the purpose that he has for me or the destiny that he has for me. And that also kind of absolves you of feeling like those people are so wrong, those people are so fake, No, we're just going in two different directions, and I love you and pray God's best for you. But I know for me, I have to stay where God is calling me. What that path looks like, I'm gonna have to walk that out. Your path is gonna be your path, but mine is this way, and I can't afford to be distracted looking to the left and to the right. I just know that where God has me going, I have to be fully like committed and concentrated to the path he has me on, and the people that he's placed to be in my path, because he's done it, are going to be there and are going to be equipped with the things that I need to walk out this thing called life. Because literally, you can really have your own pick and choice of people who you want to be in your life, but if God has not equipped them, you can't make them equipped. It will never ever work. But God has equipped specific people to go through life with you, to walk through life with you, to pray for you, to be your community. And it's like the longer you spend sitting in your hurt, in your pain, and your wounds, even though those things are valid, and I say take the time you need to process those things with God, because those are real feelings and emotions. Don't ignore those. But after you've had time to sift through those things, it's like, God, no, who do you have for me? I want to fully accept the people that you have equipped to be my friend. I want to accept the community that you placed around me. And I don't want to just be missing that, because I'm still talking about what all those people did to me 20 years ago. I feel like the last thing God showed me in a lot of those failed friendships, like coming to an end, was that God allowed me to be alone to draw closer to him. There was a point in time where it was just me and God, and I had one other person who was my sister, who I love dearly, who was in my life. But at that point, it's just like it was me and God for real. During that time, God worked so many things out of me, walking through the process of forgiveness, of healing, of like really releasing these people. Because to say you release somebody and you forgive them, it sounds pretty, but to actually go through the process is harder. With so much of that, and even just God telling me who I am in him, and me believing that, and me reading his word and feeling like, you know, I really am loved. Like, I don't have to strive to be loved by other people in place of God's love, because it's never gonna compete. And what I was doing essentially in those friendships was trying to fill God-sized holes. I've heard that before. To fill God-sized holes with people, and they were never and are never going to fill that hole. So to know that God let me be alone so I could be with him, not only so he could bless me with those like divine connection, it was literally so I could be alone with him, and he can have his time with me, for him to build me up in him, for me to even know what friendship looks like through him. Because all of those times I was missing the mark, but it's because I didn't really know what friendship was. I didn't know what friendship was till I looked at my relationship with God, and looking at how he loves me and how he looks after me. I wasn't looking at that. I was just looking at how could friendship benefit me, but I don't think I was walking into those friendships saying, you know, how could I serve this person better? How could I love this person better? How could I, you know, die to my flesh trying to serve people better? That was not my idea. That was not anything that was in my mind. I was just simply just wanting friends. But God allowed me to be alone and have like that pruning period, just so he could make me over and he could build me up in him. And I think I was prolonging the pruning period because I didn't want to be alone, but literally being alone with God is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Like, that's him calling you to him drawing you to him. And God allowed all of the friendships that I thought were going to be solid for the rest of my life to crumble right in front of my face. Every single one. And then I had no choice but to go to God. But I just wish on my own before I would have been strong enough to say, God, I'm doing something wrong. I keep hitting roadblocks, and it's like the same thing is happening with different people. And you know, you have to get to a point where you realize it's you. Like, what am I doing? What am I like projecting to keep inviting these same situations into my life? And I had to get to the point where no, God did it for me. I wish I would have got to that point on my own, but God literally allowed every friendship that I thought was going to be just in my life forever to crumble right in front of my face, to bring me to a point of humility where it's like, God, I can't do this anymore. I literally have tried every single thing my way, and everything I've tried has failed, and failed miserably, to where I look around and I have, like I was telling you guys, my sister was my ride or die in that period, but she was honestly like, girl, you need to pray for friends. And not just friends, but like godly friends. And I'm like, you know, I prayed off and on, but that 3-year period just went to show me like God did restore friendship for me, because after like the whole 3-year period of God just kind of like working in me, through me, processing me, healing me, bandaging up some of my wounds, cleaning them out, all of that is when I met my best friend. I was praying for godly friends, but I just think in the way that he brought our friendship together, and that video is on my channel, but how he brought our friendship together and all of that stuff and how he's continuing to like work in our friendship, I didn't necessarily even foresee God doing things in that way. So this is just like an encouragement to you. Like if you're going through a season where you feel like you done lost all your friends, everything is going wrong, it's like little fire after little fire after little fire, because my life was, shambles. Shambles. And that was because I did it my way. I did not do it God's way. I did it my way, and that's why it was in shambles. Even though it was rough, it had to happen the way that it did. I had to be hurt. I had to be frustrated enough for God to get my attention and just be like, you can keep trying this your way. Actually, you're not, because I'm just going to make everything fail. So there's that. But if you feel like you're in a space where you've lost all your friends, I know how it feels, but that literally is going to be the best thing for you if God is trying to rid you of things you got yourself into so he can give you what he's always had planned for you. Because I promise you, it's going to be 10 times better than the people who you were trying to fit in your life that God never meant to have in your life. And I think looking back on those situations, I saw people that I picked. And then now I see people who God has picked, and I'm like, I don't necessarily know if back then I would have been wise enough to pick those people. And I'm grateful that God did the picking for me, because I look at the two different scenarios and I'm like, wow, when God does it, it's really different. Not to say that it's perfect, because you are imperfect, your friend is imperfect, and yeah, it just is what it is. But seeing God do it, things flow together. Things that do not make sense, the timing of it, the character of the person who God built you up to be in the friendship, and just everything compared to when you do it yourself, sometimes those things will be missing. The fruit of the spirit and the character may not be there. The timing seems to be off, and just nothing about the friendship seems to be flowing. Those are effects of you doing it. But these are like the benefits of God doing. Anybody too who is struggling with unforgiveness, y'all, unforgiveness had me in a chokehold. And it's like when you really realize, outside of these 3 points, but more importantly than the 3 points I made, literally remembering that Jesus forgave me and died for my sins. Also, that is always gonna snap you out of it, because it's like I do things to offend God every single day. There is no reason that I deserve his grace, his mercy, his forgiveness. What that person did to me may have been bad, but what I did to God, 1,000 times worse, but yet he continues to pour out his mercy and his grace and to forgive me because of what Jesus did. Is like why I'm offered that forgiveness. For me to sit up here and think that I'm not gonna have to forgive people because I feel like they wronged me is a lie from where. Because if God has forgiven us and we do things so much worse to him than people have done to us, we are called to forgive. And the Bible says, like, time and time again, like, forgive your brothers. And then even in the Bible, one of the disciples was like, Jesus, how many times should we forgive somebody? 7? And he's like, 7 times. Like, how you think about forgiveness is so little, and how I see forgiveness is huge, and you're not even realizing that I pour out my forgiveness on you. Knowing that Jesus forgave you is the fastest way, the best way, the most true and honest way to really forgive people. Walking in unforgiveness means, like, if I'm not forgiving somebody else, God is not going to forgive me of the stuff that I did. Granted, through Jesus, we are forgiven and we're made new creations through Jesus. But the Bible does also talk about, like, if you don't forgive, like, your brother and sister, your Father in heaven will not forgive you. And I cannot live without the forgiveness of God. Who am I to not forgive somebody else who did me dirty, stabbed me in the back? Like, yes, those things hurt, but what they did to me is nothing compared to what I do to God. And for him to be like, through my son, I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to release you now. We're called to walk in the freedom that we have through Christ, and holding on to unforgiveness and all of those things keeps you bound from being free. Because like I said, when God was revealing these points to me, I felt so free, and I'm like, I don't have to be bound anymore. You don't have to be bound anymore. We have the free gift to accept through Jesus Christ, to have life and to have it more abundantly, and to walk in the freedom that he gave us. So I ain't trying to be bound no more. I know what it feels like to be bound. Literally terrible. So if I can just choose to forgive somebody else and extend the grace that Jesus gave to me, here you go. Because I know I did you wrong too in some ways. I know I messed up too in some ways, and I wasn't even listening to God, so I'm sorry, you know? But it's just like releasing yourself from unforgiveness, literally the best thing you can do for yourself. There is redemption and restoration that can happen even in us choosing wrong sometimes. God can still turn it for our good and teach us a lesson. But if you are in a situation where you don't have to make the same mistakes as me, I would definitely say seek God in everything you do. Don't even sit and be like, you know, I want this. Like, seek God. Deny yourself, seek the Lord, because when you do it your way, take it from me. Years of baggage, years of unforgiveness, and so many things I had to walk through, all because I wanted to do it my way. And if I would have done it God's way, would it have hurt me? Probably. But what was the result? I got hurt either way, and that hurt would have been for my good. It would have been pruning me. It would have been not even necessarily hurt. It would have been like God disciplining and correcting me, which is what I needed. But I went and had to learn my way and got the things that came with doing it my way. So if you don't have to make those decisions, please don't submit it to the Lord. But if you are somebody that has been in that situation and you feel like, yeah, I messed up a lot in friendship, like I'm there with you. There are things that, you know, we have to suffer the consequences for, or had to suffer the consequences for, but so much grace and redemption and restoration on the other side of our mistakes. And I'm just so glad that God does not waste a thing. Even the things that we did wrong, he does not waste a thing. So if you're there and you feel like, man, maybe I messed up too much, like I made too many mistakes, I've done too many people wrong, like literally you can choose today to allow Jesus to lead and guide you in friendship and to, you know, accept the grace that he freely gives and to repent. You have the opportunity to repent and to turn away and to actually be a better friend, to allow God to build you up. So when he does bring those people around you, you're equipped to be what they need as well as them being equipped to be what you need. So it's like a mutual exchange. There's so much that can be said about friendship, about the things that go with it. Friendships are super important. You need friends. You need a community to walk through life with. If you don't, it's going to be real rough. And it's already rough out here. So it's just like opening up your mind and your heart to be accepting of those people that God is trying to give you is literally gonna be for your good. You're gonna need those people. You're gonna need them. I feel like the more that we have these open and honest conversations around friendships, we become better friends. We can learn more things and God can build our friendships up. And then it'll be like where this is not uncommon for us to be walking in God-ordained friendships, for us to be walking with the people who God has called us to walk with, for us to be not choosing ourselves, but letting God do the choosing. And friendship is literally so beautiful, y'all. So beautiful. And it all just goes back to your relationship with Christ and our friendships being a reflection of, you know, like a small reflection of our relationship with Christ, who is our ultimate friend. And if you feel like you're a person who does not have any friends, I want you to know, even without a person, Jesus is your friend. He cares for you. I promise, best friend you can ever have. Best friend you can ever have. I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Be sure to leave any comments if you know, have had similar experience to me or had very different experiences to me, or what you feel like God has even like shown you through friendships, through good friendships, through bad friendships. If you have any comments, just leave those down below. I would love to read them and I would love to hear your experience. Thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all in the next video.
Don't believe in failures in my life, it's only lessons. They just make